You've been doing everything right, and she still doesn't want you. You take her out, you text her back, you compliment her, but somehow she's just not feeling it. She's polite, maybe even friendly, but there's no spark, no tension, no heat. Sound familiar? Most men assume arousal in women works the same way it does for them: visual, instant, and mostly physical. But that's not how it works, not even close. In fact, studies show that 85% of women don't feel genuine arousal until something else happens first. And it has nothing to do with six-pack abs, dirty talk, or buying the perfect dinner. Here's the thing: she doesn't want more effort, she wants more understanding. And if you keep missing what truly moves her, you'll keep ending up in the same cold, confusing silence. But today, I'm going to break it down for you. We'll walk through 10 subtle triggers that shift her from indifferent to deeply, almost uncontrollably, aroused mentally, emotionally, and yes, physically. If you're a man who's tired of guessing, tired of performing, and ready to actually connect, this is where things start to change. Let's get into it. Number 1. Emotional safety must be established first. Let me tell you something. Most men never learn, not even after a divorce, not even after years of trying. A woman can't even begin to feel turned on unless she feels emotionally safe. I don't mean safe as in you lock the doors or walk her to her car. I mean the kind of safety where she can relax her nervous system around you, where she doesn't have to be on guard, performing, predicting your reactions, or wondering if her honesty will be used against her later. That's the real kind of safety, and most guys blow right past it. Take Greg, 44, divorced for 2 years. He met Lauren, 39, at a friend's dinner party. Things were going great. They laughed, texted every day, and he thought they had chemistry. But every time they got close, she'd pull away. She'd change the subject when things got personal, or suddenly become too busy. Greg thought she just wasn't interested. What he didn't realize was that Lauren didn't feel safe. Not because Greg was a bad guy, but because he didn't listen. He talked about himself a lot. He joked to cover up serious topics. And when Lauren shared something vulnerable, like the time she got ghosted by an ex, Greg laughed and said, "Yeah, guys are idiots." He meant well, but to her, it felt like dismissal. Women don't get aroused from compliments or grand gestures when there's no emotional grounding. In fact, it can feel intrusive, like skipping steps. Her brain is still in defense mode, but you're already reaching for something more. Here's the psychology behind it. Women are biologically wired to assess safety before desire. It's rooted in evolution. If she doesn't feel emotionally attuned to, her body will literally shut off any sense of arousal. And this is where Stoicism quietly shines. See, Stoic men don't chase validation. They don't react emotionally when a woman hesitates, pauses, or goes silent. They're steady. They observe. They create space without pressure. That space, that's where she breathes. That's where trust forms. Greg eventually figured it out. He reached back out to Lauren, not with a romantic pitch, but with presence. He asked how she'd been feeling lately, not what she'd been doing. He stopped trying to prove himself and started listening with intent, not to fix her problems, just to witness them. The shift was immediate. Lauren let down her guard. She opened up about her doubts, her stress, her fears. And when Greg didn't interrupt, didn't flinch, didn't try to make it about him, she started looking at him differently. The lightness returned. The touch lingered. The connection turned physical, but it was built on something real. Most men think seduction starts with strategy. In truth, it starts with silence. The kind of silence where a woman feels heard before she's touched. This doesn't mean being passive. It means being emotionally disciplined. It means not reacting out of ego. It means slowing the pace so she doesn't feel like a transaction, but like a human being. If you've ever wondered why she pulled away, even when everything seemed fine, this is probably it. She didn't feel safe. Not unsafe like threatened, but unsafe like unseen. And here's the part most guys never hear. Once a woman feels emotionally safe, her body starts to respond in ways you can't fake, force, or rush. That's when the real attraction kicks in. You've seen this happen, maybe you just didn't realize it. That moment when she looks at you a little longer, when her voice softens, when her body angles closer without you doing anything. That's not luck. That's emotional safety doing its work. And it's just the beginning. Because when you understand this, what comes next will change the way you see every interaction. Comment below if you've ever missed this. Just type, "I've seen this." No. Now, let's go deeper. Number 2. Mental stimulation ignites the spark. Here's the truth most guys completely overlook. For men, desire is often visual. It can be instant, even overwhelming. But for women, especially emotionally intelligent, self-aware women, it starts in the mind. If you don't light up her brain, you won't light up anything else. This is where so many men go wrong. They think compliments are enough. They think having a good job, being polite, and showing up on time should make her feel something. But she doesn't. Not deeply. Because none of that touches her mind. Mental stimulation isn't just about being smart. It's about being curious, attuned, and present. It's asking questions no one else asks, then actually listening to the answers. Women feel arousal when they feel seen on the inside, not just admired on the outside. And here's where it gets even more interesting. When you mentally stimulate a woman, you're not giving her information. You're giving her space to express herself. You're letting her think aloud, explore, feel, and unfold. And that's when she starts to feel alive around you. Most men dominate conversations. They perform, they impress. But the man who makes her think differently, who leaves her a little mentally off balance, that's the one she can't stop thinking about later. This isn't manipulation, it's presence. And presence is a Stoic skill. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Think about that. If her thoughts around you are shallow, predictable, or disconnected, her experience of you will be the same. But if her thoughts around you are stimulating, charged, and real, then you become unforgettable, even when you're not around. That's why your words matter. Not big words, not poetic scripts, but words that show depth, intention, timing. Ask her what she's been wrestling with lately, not just what she's been doing. Be curious about her fears, not just her weekend plans. Respond to her pauses, not just her points. It's not about being intense all the time. It's about being emotionally intelligent enough to switch gears, to match her mental rhythm, to be comfortable in silence and sharp in insight. The Stoics trained themselves to observe the world as it is, not as they wish it to be. That's what you're doing here. You're not hoping she responds to your moves. You're watching her language, tone, energy, and adjusting your presence accordingly. Mental stimulation also involves restraint. Don't interrupt. Don't rush. Let her expand her thoughts, even if they wander. That's when the connection deepens and arousal starts to build in the background. Unspoken but real. Remember, her mind needs to trust you with its complexity before her body trusts you with its openness. And once she starts associating your presence with intellectual charge, emotional safety, and spiritual curiosity, that's when she begins to crave you, not just enjoy you. You don't need to talk more. You need to talk better. Speak with clarity. Listen with focus. Challenge gently. Respect always. When you do that, something clicks in her that no flashy move or physical gesture can fake. She'll feel it in her stomach, in her chest, in the way she exhales more slowly when you're near. And here's what's wild. She may not even realize why she feels it, but she'll want more of it. Because arousal for her isn't just about what you do. It's about how you make her think. Comment below if you've ever felt this shift with someone. Just type, "I've felt that." And get ready, because the next part is where the tension starts to rise. Number 3. Anticipation builds the tension. Let's be honest. Most guys move too fast. The moment there's a little connection, a little vibe, they rush to make something happen. A kiss, a touch, a late-night invite. They think moving quickly shows confidence, when in reality, it often shows fear. Women don't get turned on by speed. They get turned on by suspense. Anticipation isn't just waiting, it's intentional space. It's where her mind starts playing scenes, imagining things you haven't even said or done yet. And that imagination, that's where the real heat lives. Let me give you a real-world example. Eric, 52, divorced for 3 years, met Sandra, 46, on a hiking trail in Arizona. They hit it off right away. She liked that he wasn't pushy. They exchanged numbers, started talking. Eric, being a bit old school, suggested a coffee date, low pressure, easy vibe. But here's where it gets interesting. On the date, instead of diving into compliments or flirting, Eric took his time. He asked Sandra thoughtful questions about her life, not surface-level stuff. He asked about things that made her come alive, passions, regrets, the book she couldn't stop thinking about lately. And he listened, really listened. He didn't touch her hand. He didn't lean in too close. He didn't even mention how good she looked, even though he thought it. And guess what? Sandra left that coffee shop wanting him more than she expected. Why? Because he didn't try to claim her attention. He let it build. He let her sit with the feeling of, I wonder if he likes me. And that uncertainty, that edge, created desire. This is where anticipation becomes a weapon. When you don't rush, you give her space to feel something. You become the slow burn in a world full of cheap firecrackers. And believe me, every woman knows the difference. Think about movies. The best scenes aren't the explosions. It's the moments before the kiss, when the air gets thick, when no one's speaking, and yet everything's being said. Real anticipation isn't about teasing for fun. It's about signaling that you're in control of your own urges, and that makes you 10 times more attractive. See, when you act like you're not in a hurry, she feels like she has time to want you. And when a woman wants you not because you asked for it, but because her own thoughts led her there, that's the moment everything changes. Stoic men understand this better than anyone. They don't act out of impulse. They delay gratification not out of fear, but out of mastery. They're not afraid of space, silence, or slowness. In fact, they own it. So next time you feel tempted to say the thing, to make the move, to escalate, pause. Hold eye contact a little longer than usual. Let your words linger in the air. Smile, then change the subject. Give her the gift of wondering. That tension, that's the spark. Eric didn't sleep with Sandra that night. He didn't even try. But when she texted him the next day, I can't stop thinking about our conversation, he knew something deeper had started. Because anticipation isn't the absence of action, it's the art of waiting with presence. And that art makes her feel something most men never do: the need to close the distance. You've probably seen this without realizing it. That moment when she leans in, when she brushes your arm, accidentally, when her voice lowers just a little. That's not her being polite. That's her body chasing the chemistry you created. Comment below if you've ever felt someone pull you in without doing anything at all. Just type, I want this, N. And keep watching, because next, we're getting into what really bonds her to you. Number 4. Emotional connection deepens the experience. Let's get real for a second. You can have all the surface-level chemistry in the world, the laughter, the looks, the teasing, but if there's no emotional connection, it doesn't last, and it definitely doesn't go deeper. Women crave more than stimulation. They crave resonance. She wants to feel something real with you. Not scripted, not performed, not charming for the sake of it. She wants to feel like when you look at her, you're not just seeing a body or a role, but an actual human being. A person with layers, contradictions, fears, and fire. Most men avoid this part because it feels uncomfortable. Vulnerability feels risky. Emotional connection feels like surrender. And for guys who've been hurt before, it feels like danger. But here's the twist. Emotional connection doesn't make you weak, it makes you unforgettable. Because when a woman feels emotionally safe and emotionally seen, her attraction doesn't just build, it anchors. She starts associating you with calm, with comfort, with that feeling of finally being understood. And that emotional grounding, it turns every touch, every glance, every whisper into something far more electric. Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." There's Stoic wisdom in that, especially when it comes to connection. Listening, really listening, is how you earn her mind. Responding with presence, not just advice, is how you earn her trust. And once trust is there, her whole energy changes. Here's what most men don't realize. You don't need to always say the perfect thing. You don't need to fix her problems or pretend to have it all together. You just need to be there, fully there, when she opens up. That means not deflecting when she shares something raw, not changing the subject when she goes deep, not freezing up when emotions rise. That's the moment she's watching. Not to see if you react like a therapist, but to see if you stay steady, if you stay present, if you stay kind. Women remember that. They remember how they felt in your presence. And if they felt emotionally alive, they associate that with you. That's why physical chemistry without emotional depth eventually fades. But emotional connection, it keeps building, even in silence, even from a distance. You'll know you've created that connection when she starts telling you things she hasn't told anyone else. When she brings up her childhood, her fears about aging, her doubts about the future. And when she sees that you don't flinch, you just receive it. That's when something unlocks inside her. That's when arousal shifts from something casual to something consuming. Because now, she doesn't just want your touch, she wants to be close to you. To the version of you that sees her without judgment, hears her without interruption, and stays even when the mood turns unglamorous. The Stoics believed in training the self to be unshaken by external events. And here's the magic. When you become emotionally steady, you become a safe harbor in a chaotic world. That's what she craves more than anything, not drama, not dominance, not dependency, but emotional consistency. And when you give her that, you stop being just another man trying to win her. You become the one she chooses to lean into. This doesn't mean dumping your soul on the table every chance you get. It means letting her know she's not alone in her mess, and showing, through action and energy, that you've made peace with your own. That's powerful. So if you've ever wondered why a woman pulled away after things got physical, this might be it. The connection was shallow. The emotional foundation wasn't there. But now you know better. Comment below if this hit something in you. Just type, "I felt that." And stay tuned, because what comes next is what most men start with, but you're going to learn how to finish with it. Number 5. Physical attraction becomes the catalyst. Let's be honest, this is where most guys try to start. They lead with looks, with status, with whatever they think makes them hot. But here's the twist. For women, physical attraction doesn't start the process, it accelerates it. Once the emotional groundwork is laid, physical attraction becomes rocket fuel. It's the spark that ignites everything else you've already built. But, and this is key, if there's no emotional connection, no mental charge, no sense of safety, physical attraction by itself fizzles fast. Let me show you how this actually works in real life. Matt, 49, a financial consultant from San Diego, recently started dating again after a long marriage. He met Jenna, 42, at a networking event. She was stunning, sharp, confident, and to his surprise, she gave him her number. They went out for drinks. There was laughter, easy conversation, but Matt could tell Jenna was keeping a wall up. There were no flirty touches, no suggestive glances, no lean-ins, just good vibes and friendly distance. He didn't push, he didn't flirt aggressively. He stayed present, grounded. He let it be. Fast forward to the third date. Something shifted. Jenna leaned in more. She made little jokes that had a different tone. She rested her hand on his arm while laughing, the kind of touch that says, "I'm feeling this now." She even said it, mid-sentence, "You're actually way more attractive now than when I first met you." Why? Because by then, Matt had already built the safety, the connection, the tension, and now the physical energy had something solid to land on. It didn't feel forced. It felt natural, inevitable even. That's what most men miss. They think physical attraction is just about what she sees. But it's also about how you make her feel. If she's mentally stimulated and emotionally connected, your physical presence becomes 10 times more magnetic. She notices your hands, your jawline, your scent, not just as features, but as symbols of the emotional energy you've already created. Now don't get me wrong, attraction matters. Women are visual too, but it's layered, nuanced, emotionalized. A guy with a chiseled body and nothing to say, that fades. A man with self-control, clarity, warmth, and just enough edge, that lingers. And that's where Stoicism gives you an edge. Because Stoic men don't beg for validation, they don't chase. They know who they are. They take care of their body, not just to impress, but to stay sharp, present, ready. And that kind of presence, women feel it before you even speak. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That applies here. Be the man whose energy is centered, whose body language speaks calm confidence. When you walk into the room, you don't demand attention. You draw it. Jenna didn't fall for Matt because of his looks, but once the emotional bond was strong, his physical presence became irresistible. And here's the part no one teaches men. Once physical attraction kicks in after emotional connection, her arousal skyrockets. Not because you tried harder, but because you built deeper. And when that happens, she starts closing the space. She initiates touch. She makes eye contact longer. She doesn't just respond, she leans in. That's when you stop wondering if she's into you and start realizing she's thinking about you when you're not even there. So if you've been trying to spark something by leading with looks, it's time to flip the script. Build the foundation first. Then let your physical presence amplify what's already there. Comment below if you've ever felt someone become more attractive after you connected with them emotionally. Just type, "I've seen this." Because next, we're moving into the trigger that turns interest into obsession. Number 6. Her trust turns into desire. You want to know when a woman really starts wanting you? It's not when you make her laugh. It's not when you show off how smart or successful you are. It's not even when things get physically close. It's when she trusts you on a level most men never reach. And I'm not talking about trust as in he won't cheat or he keeps his promises. I'm talking about emotional trust. The kind that whispers to her nervous system, "I can let go around this man." Alan, when a woman feels that, something clicks. Her guard drops. Her imagination wakes up. Her desire stops being defensive and becomes deeply, quietly voluntary. Because here's the thing most guys don't understand. Desire isn't given. It's allowed. And she only allows it when her sense of emotional risk goes down and her trust in you goes up. Trust is the bridge. And once it's built, everything changes. She doesn't just respond to your energy, she opens to it. She doesn't just enjoy the connection, she starts craving it. She stops holding back and starts leaning in. But here's where it gets tricky. You can't fake this part. You can fake charm, you can fake confidence, but you cannot fake trustworthiness, not to a woman who's lived through real life. She's been lied to, ghosted, used. So if your energy carries even a trace of performance or manipulation, she'll feel it. Not consciously, not immediately, but deeply. And that shuts everything down. That's why this step is more about who you are than what you say. You build trust by being consistent emotionally, verbally, energetically. You don't jump between hot and cold. You don't say things just to impress. You don't pretend to listen while thinking of your next move. You simply show up fully the same man, no matter who's watching. The Stoics called this living in accordance with nature. It means being aligned, not scattered, grounded, not reactive. It means your words match your actions, your tone matches your intention, and your presence is stable, not conditional. Seneca wrote, "A good character, when established, is not easily overthrown." And that's what she feels when she begins to trust you. She senses you're not performing for approval. You're simply you, clear, centered, and quietly powerful. Here's another layer. When a woman starts trusting you, she also starts trusting herself around you. That's huge. It means she stops second-guessing every move. She stops wondering if she's too much or not enough. And when she relaxes into herself, her desire has room to breathe. That's when you'll notice the little shifts. Her tone softens, her eye contact lingers, her touch becomes more natural. She shares more freely, laughs more deeply, even falls silent with more comfort. Desire flows in when resistance fades out, and trust is what clears the resistance. You don't build that trust by asking for it. You build it by embodying it. Be the man who doesn't flinch at emotion. Be the man who doesn't panic when things get real. Be the man who knows how to hold the moment, not rush past it. And if you do that, she'll feel more turned on by how she feels around you than by anything you say or do. Because again, real arousal doesn't come from technique. It comes from trust. Comment below if you've ever felt this truth in a connection that didn't need to be chased. Just type, "I've felt that." And stick around, because next we're going to flip the script on what chasing really means and how not doing it changes everything. Number 7. She must feel chosen, not chased. Here's the trap most guys fall into. They confuse attention with attraction. They believe that the more they pursue, the more she'll be drawn in. So they chase, constantly texting, planning, complimenting, giving. But what they don't realize is this: the more she feels chased, the less she feels chosen. See, when you chase, you give off a message, often without meaning to, that says, "You're the prize. I need to prove myself to win you." And while that might sound flattering at first, it quietly kills the tension. Because what women really crave isn't to be chased. It's to be seen, to be selected, to be chosen by a man who could have options, but still moves toward her with calm, confident intent. Let's bring this into reality. Scott, 52, from Minneapolis, is a logistics manager. After a divorce and a few disappointing dating attempts, he met Tracy, 46, at a wine tasting event. Tracy was the type of woman most guys would trip over themselves trying to impress: stylish, self-assured, and used to attention. But Scott didn't chase. He didn't flood her with compliments. Instead, he was warm, attentive, but grounded. He asked smart questions, listened fully, and when Tracy mentioned that she wasn't sure about dating again, he didn't try to convince her otherwise. He just smiled and said, "I'm not here to rush anything. I know what I want, and I enjoy getting to know people who move with purpose." That stuck with her. Later, Tracy told him, "You were the first guy who didn't come off like he needed me to like him. That made me actually want to be around you." And that's the secret right there. Women feel the difference between a man who's chasing validation and a man who's making a clear, quiet choice. It's not about being aloof or detached. It's about knowing your worth before you step into the room. It's about choosing her because she aligns with your values, not because you're afraid to lose her. When you embody that energy, it's felt in everything you do. The way you hold eye contact, the way you listen without trying to steer, the way you express interest without flooding her space. This is where Stoicism becomes a superpower. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Love. A man who lives from self-respect, clarity, and inner peace doesn't chase, he chooses. And that energy is rare. It tells her, I'm not looking for someone to complete me. I'm already complete. But if you're aligned with where I'm going, I'll make room for you. That's when she starts to lean in. Because now it's not about approval. It's about alignment. She feels valued, not pursued. Desired, not pressured. And when a woman feels chosen, truly chosen, she relaxes into her feminine energy. She stops evaluating you. She starts responding to you. And that shift, that's where the attraction deepens. So if you've been over-investing, trying too hard, or chasing her validation, it's time to stop. Not to manipulate her, but to remind yourself that desire flows from freedom, not force. Let her feel that you chose her not because you needed to, but because you could have walked away and didn't. That's what she remembers. Comment below if you've ever felt the shift when you stopped chasing and started choosing. Just type, I've seen this. Next, we're going to talk about something subtle but powerful. How doing less can make her want you more. Number 8. Your restraint becomes her craving. Here's a truth most men never realize. It's not what you give her that makes her crave you, it's what you hold back. That space between what she knows and what she feels but can't quite name yet, that's where the craving starts. See, when you show restraint not because you're unsure, but because you're grounded, it builds a kind of pressure inside her that no amount of chasing can create. And this isn't about playing hard to get. That's a game. This is about being so centered in yourself that you don't feel the need to push. You're not rushing the moment. You're not trying to fill silence. You're not desperate to prove something. Instead, you let the moment breathe, and she starts to lean in, curious, drawn, wondering. Why? Because restraint signals control, and emotional control is deeply arousing. In a world where most guys rush to impress, to touch, to escalate, the man who doesn't instantly act on his urges becomes a mystery. A tension she feels in her body, long before she ever names it out loud. This is where Stoic discipline becomes an asset. The Stoics trained themselves to separate impulse from action. They believed that freedom isn't doing whatever you want, it's not being owned by what you want. Seneca wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Oh, and when you sit across from a woman and you clearly want her but you don't grab, don't press, don't force, she feels that self-mastery. And it electrifies her, because now she's not just responding to your interest, she's responding to your depth. Your ability to contain desire, to carry it rather than spill it, is what makes you unforgettable. She starts replaying moments in her head. The way you looked at her but didn't lean in. The way your hand brushed hers but didn't linger. The way you complimented her mind but said nothing about her dress. And suddenly, you become the question she wants answered. Restraint creates the absence of action and the presence of possibility. It's a kind of power that doesn't speak loudly, but moves everything. And when done right, it doesn't frustrate her, it activates her. Because now the desire is mutual, but you're the one who holds the frame. That's not control over her. That's control over yourself. And that kind of presence, it draws her in stronger than any pickup line ever could. Comment below if you've ever seen someone want you more after you didn't make the first move. Just type, I want this. Up next, we're going to explore something deeper. Why your presence, not just your touch, is what truly unlocks her attraction. Number 9. She wants your presence, not just your touch. Let's set the record straight. Touch is important, but for her, presence is what makes touch unforgettable. What does that mean? It means she doesn't just want your hands on her body. She wants to feel your mind on the moment. She wants to feel like the world has disappeared and you're both fully there. That's presence. And that's what makes her melt. Let me give you a real-life example. David, 55, A high school counselor in Colorado started dating Monica, 48, after a long hiatus from relationships. He'd read the books, listened to podcasts, watched all the dating tips for men over 40. But what changed everything for him? Presence. Their first few dates were slow, no big moves. Monica mentioned how refreshing it felt to talk to someone who wasn't distracted, who wasn't glancing at his phone, who wasn't scanning the room. By the fourth date, they sat on a bench after dinner. No kissing, just conversation. And the way David looked at her, still, calm, focused, made Monica pause mid-sentence and say, "You make me feel like I'm the only person alive right now." That's what presence does. It makes her feel seen, not scanned, held, not handled, valued, not sized up. Here's the kicker. Most men think women crave touch. And yes, when the connection's there, they do. But what they crave first and remember most is the energy behind the touch. Because you can touch a woman and make her feel nothing, or you can sit 3 feet away, barely speaking, and make her feel everything. It all comes down to where your attention is. Are you in your head, strategizing your next move? Or are you in the moment with her, not ahead of her? Are you trying to lead it somewhere? Or are you letting it unfold, trusting the pace, trusting the pause? Women feel that. And in a world full of rushed dinners, half-listened conversations, and men with 1,000 tabs open in their mind, your presence becomes a rare experience. Seneca said, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." Oh, and presence, real presence, is a form of kindness. It's saying, "I'm here, you have all of me right now." And when she feels that, she stops bracing, she stops analyzing, she starts relaxing into the moment. That's when the chemistry shifts. Because now, if you touch her, it's not just physical, it's felt. She's not reacting to your fingers. She's responding to your attention. And that makes everything deeper, slower, hotter. This is why some men, not the flashiest, not the loudest, become the most unforgettable. They don't perform, they don't impress. They simply show up fully, and in doing so, invite her to do the same. And the best part? When you master presence, she'll associate that feeling with you. You become the calm in her chaos, the grounded energy she didn't even know she was craving. Just like Monica later told David, "You didn't have to touch me, you already had me." Comment below if you've ever felt that kind of silent pull. Just type, "I've felt that." Now, let's move into the final piece of the puzzle, the one that happens when you do less and she starts doing more. Number 10. Confidence in silence drives her wild. Silence makes most men nervous. They rush to fill it with words, jokes, compliments, anything to keep her attention. But here's the paradox. The man who isn't afraid of silence, that's the one she can't stop thinking about. Because silence doesn't push her away. When handled right, silence pulls her in. It's not just about not talking. It's about what your silence says. It says, "I don't need to perform for you. I'm comfortable with myself. I trust the moment enough to let it breathe." And that's powerful. Because most guys talk to earn her approval. But when you sit back, stay grounded, and let the energy build without rushing in, she doesn't feel ignored. She feels magnetized. Why? Because now she has room to wonder. She starts reading into your body language. She replays the last thing you said. She leans in, literally or emotionally, to fill the gap with curiosity. And that curiosity is where attraction lives. Let's zoom out for a second. In nature, stillness signals strength. The lion doesn't flail. The hawk doesn't flap wildly. They move when it matters, and they hold their stillness with confidence. Women feel this same energy in men who are unshaken by awkward silences or emotional pauses. When you don't react, don't over-explain, don't try to manage her emotions, she notices. Because now the attention is not on your mouth, it's on your presence. Here's what changes in her mind. She stops thinking, is he trying to win me? And starts wondering, what's he holding back? And that wondering, it's electric. A woman's arousal doesn't spike from noise, it spikes from charge. And silence, when laced with confidence, creates the highest charge of all. This is where Stoicism speaks louder than any pickup line. The Stoics weren't silent because they lacked words. They were silent because they didn't waste them. Epictetus said, "If you wish to be a writer, write. If you wish to be desired, be worthy of desire." And sometimes, the most attractive thing you can do is say nothing at all. Not because you're disinterested, but because you're unfazed, centered, present, aware of the moment and in no rush to dominate it. It's in those moments, sitting across from her in silence, that you let the air thicken. You let her feel you without needing to sell yourself. And maybe she'll break the silence, maybe she won't. But when she looks back at that moment later, that's what she'll remember: the stillness, the charge, and the man who didn't flinch. Because confidence in silence doesn't mean coldness, it means self-possession. It means you're not afraid of space, of slowness, of energy building without words. And here's the secret. When a woman experiences a man who carries silence well, she doesn't just feel attraction. She feels safe to want him because nothing is being forced. Nor pressure, nor performance. Just tension, patience, power. So the next time you're with her, and there's a pause in conversation, don't scramble. Hold it. Feel it. Let her feel you holding it. Because in that pause, something ancient happens. She senses your depth not in what you say, but in what you withhold. And that's what drives her wild. You see now, arousal isn't just about touch, timing, or technique. It's about energy, awareness, emotional intelligence. It's about the man you become when you stop chasing and start understanding. Every part of her, her mind, her body, her desire is activated when you move with intention and confidence, not performance and pressure. You've just walked through 10 powerful shifts most men never learn. And now you've got something they don't: clarity. Clarity about what truly turns a woman on, and how much of it has nothing to do with words, and everything to do with presence, control, and emotional depth. If that resonated with you, and you're ready to keep growing not just as a man, but as a grounded, magnetic presence, hit the subscribe button right now. This channel drops new content daily, and every single video is crafted to help you master your inner world so the outer world follows. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow.